I'm Denis, book marketing coach with Weekend Publisher, and in this video we're going to go over Amazon Ads Targeting Explained, the difference between automatic and manual targeting. The reason why I want to go over this is because, like I said, I'm a book marketing coach, and it's very, very easy for people who are in the industry for a while, who are familiar with Amazon ads, to just assume that people know where these ads actually show up on the end of the reader, on the user end. And it's not always the case. When I look back, I started learning how to do Amazon ads back in 2017. And I remember watching videos on YouTube and people would be like, oh, product targeting and category targeting. Like they assumed I already knew what those things were, and I really don't. And it took me a couple of months to actually figure out what not only like how to do them in the back end of the Amazon ads, but also where they actually show up for the readers, for the actual users looking for books. And that is very, very important. So with that being said, let's get into the targeting. So in this video, I'm going to explain how the targeting works to a degree, and most importantly, where they're displayed. Because when we know where they're going to be displayed, we can start looking at other ads and seeing how our ad is going to compare to some of the other ones. Too much, and I don't want to get too much on a tangent on with this, but too often we're just stuck in our own book, right? We have a cover. Oh, we like the cover. Okay, we have a description. Okay, we like the description. Everyone else has to like it too. That's not necessarily the case. With my coaching clients, we look at our book covers in that thumbnail view, in the smaller view as well, because when you're looking at your book cover, you often open it up to a full view or on your phone and you're zooming in and you see all the details and you're really proud of it. That's not how our potential readers are going to be seeing it. They're seeing it in just a small thumbnail view, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes here. One disclaimer. I'm going to be focusing on KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. Amazon Ads is not only used for books, it's used for socks, it's used for deodorant, it's used for, I would say, pretty much everything that Amazon sells. So when you're in the back end of the dashboard, the KDP Amazon Ads dashboard, when you notice a bunch of columns and you're like, new to brand and all these things, and Amazon ads they're always making changes and additions and all that sort of stuff. Don't worry about a lot of that type of stuff. You don't need half the columns that are there, because again, it's not used just for books. It's used for socks and deodorant, coffee mugs, and all that sort of stuff. I'm also going to be focusing heavily on the sponsored product ads. So I'll show you that here. So we have here, when we choose a campaign type, we'll have the option between sponsored products, sponsored brands, and lock screen ads. So we're going to be focusing on the sponsored products, although I will point out the sponsored brands when we're going through. Or lock screen ads. So the sponsored product ads is what we're going to be focusing on. And before we begin, before I really get into the meat and potatoes here, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. And if you find this video helpful by the end, make sure you give me a like as well. It does help other people in the exact same position that you are find this information and start developing their knowledge base as well to reach more readers with their book. I also offer coaching, one-on-one and small group coaching. So if you'd like to learn more about that, I do have a link down below in the description. Okay, so let's get started. Let me use a little bit of a whiteboard here. Okay, so again, we're working on sponsored products. When you click on that, you have two options here. You have automatic targeting and you have manual targeting. Okay, and let me break those two down just a little bit. So we have automatic, targeting, and then we have manual targeting. Okay, those are our two options. Underneath manual targeting, we also have two, I guess you would call like sub options. Okay, and I'll show you where to find those in just a moment. So we have keyword targeting and we have product/category targeting. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, what is automatic targeting? Well, you know what? Let me show you exactly what keyword targeting is first. Okay, so when we scroll down here, we can pick manual targeting, and then we have these two options here, keyword targeting or product targeting. Okay, so let's look at keyword targeting first. So keyword targeting is very similar to what you would think it is, right? You target a keyword. So in this case, let's say we have a fantasy fiction romance book. So I'm going to pick here Kindle fantasy fiction romance. Okay. This is how it shows up to the actual user who is searching for it. Okay. There are the very two, first of all, sponsored brands. I told you I would touch on that just for a moment. This very top portion right here, this is sponsored brands. So this 𝐒𝐞𝐥𝐟-𝐏𝐻𝐮, I don't know how to pronounce that, but what she is doing is she is paying Amazon to be up there. Well, essentially, I should say that little semantics, but she's paying for every click that she gets up there. Okay, it's part of the bidding system. The more that you bid, the more relevant your book is, the more often you'll be shown up in this prime spot, and the more impressions you'll get and the more clicks you'll get. Okay, so this is sponsored brands. Okay, this just came out like a year ago, maybe like 2020, I think it was. I truthfully, to be honest, I don't have much experience with sponsored brands. I've heard some other people do it with limited results. But this is sponsored brands here. You need to have at least 3 products. So in our case, 3 books. I think you can advertise 3 to 5 books. But anyways, that's where sponsored brands is found. Okay, at the very top here. What I'm going to do is Control F and search for sponsored. So this is going to highlight in yellow everywhere where we see a sponsored brand. Okay, so again, this is keyword targeting. Okay, we're targeting, these books here are targeting the keyword fantasy fiction romance. Okay, so they are paying. If I was to click on this, I'm not going to, Megan Quinn, if you're watching this, or Thomas Willard. If you're watching this, I'm not going to click on it because I am not mean and I don't want them to pay whatever. They might be paying 20 cents. They might be paying $1 per click. Every single person that clicks on that, they'll be paying Amazon. Okay, this being fantasy fiction romance, I'm assuming that this is a pretty competitive keyword. It's probably upwards of $1, maybe even higher. Probably higher because they have this premium spot at the very top here. Okay, you could see what books are there because we see this little, and it's very, very small, and a lot of people don't even notice it, but you see sponsored. Okay, the first 2 results are sponsored, and if we scroll down, then we have what we call organic results. Okay, these are not sponsored. These are there according to Amazon's algorithm. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into that. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then boom, we got another sponsored ad. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, another sponsored ad. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, another sponsored ad, and so on and so on, all the way to the bottom of the first page. Okay, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 books that are sponsored on this front page of Amazon. Okay, so when you think about it, you think about, okay, how many people have books that would fit into fantasy fiction romance? There's probably thousands and thousands of books. So how many books are actually targeting that? Probably at least hundreds, probably thousands as well. Okay, what makes a book actually be in this prime spot versus the books that would be, on page, well, this goes all the way to 400 pages, on page, let's say 100, right? What is the difference between your book and these books? And it might be a combination of relevance and bid price and a bunch of other things. But that's something you need to keep in mind as well. One other thing I wanted to point out here as well is you might have come across something called custom text, standard or custom text. You might be wondering, okay, where does that custom text show up? Okay, the custom text shows up right here. Okay, so we only have 150 characters to use that. So you have to use it very strategically, okay, because we don't have much space here. So let's take a look at this one book here. So again, the keyword is fantasy fiction romance. This book right here, I'm sorry, Thomas, but it just does not work with this keyword. So this is some poor targeting on his point. So we see here lightning wingman and historical fiction and male romance novel. So how likely do you think it is someone to be interested in this book after typing in fantasy fiction romance, a fantasy book, and this is a historical fiction? Okay, these are the things that you need to think of when you're targeting, okay? I won't get too much into targeting, but what we need to think about is a search intent. Okay, what is my intent when I'm looking for fantasy fiction romance? It probably isn't something, you know, cover. I don't love the cover either. Yeah, a historical fiction, male romance novel. I mean, that's going to be a tough sell. The search intent just is not there. Okay. With that being said, I don't want to get too distracted with that. Let's get into the other manual targeting. So keyword that we just covered. So we just covered keyword. Now let's talk about product ad. Okay. So again, when we're going down here, we select keyword. So I just showed you how to do keyword. The other one we have here is product targeting. Okay. And product targeting sounds just like what it is. Let's click on a book. And I didn't click on the ad, so no one's getting charged here. But let's click on this book here, Close at Heart. So we are now on the Close at Heart Alpha's Broken Mate book, Amazon book page. Okay, so we're actually on the product page. Okay, when we scroll down here, we have a couple of carousels. Okay, we have books in this series. So there's two books in this series so far. Then here we have products related to this item. This is where the product targeting shows up. Okay, so we see again that very small sponsored here, products related to this item, and we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books, and we have multiple pages here. Okay, this is page 1 of 35. So there's 7 times 35, whatever that is. You know, I'm just actually kind of curious. So there's 245 books that are bidding on this one product. So again, we want to make sure, how does ours stand out? Bid price is one of them, yes, but even if we're bidding a little bit higher, we need to convert. Okay, we need people to click on it and then actually buy it for that to actually make sense. So again, going back to that thing, you know, people are looking at the book cover in thumbnail size. Okay, so they're looking at it just in this tiny size here. When we're looking at other book covers here, now we see, especially when we're looking at our own book cover, we're seeing it in this huge thing. We're looking at every detail. We're looking at, okay, the tattoo. Okay, that's the right tattoo. That's the right kind of wolf, just for an example. But when people are first looking at it, they don't see all those details. So we can't let it be too crowded. We have to look at our book cover. How does our book cover? Let's make it small as well. Let's compare it to these other book covers, and let's see how it compares. Looking at it from a reader's point of view. So we have one carousel here. When we go below the product details, we have another carousel here with another page 1 of 20. So we have 140 books bidding for the spot here. Of course, we see some that are duplicates from up above. So that is product ads. So what are category ads? And then we'll finish off with what is automatic targeting. So category ads. Let me just close some of these tabs here. Okay, so when we go to product targeting, we can go to individual products. So how do we target individual products? What we use is, we could use tools like PublisherRocket, which I highly recommend. There is a link down below in the description to quickly get a full list of ASINs of books that would be similar to yours. And I do get a couple of bucks back if you do purchase through PublisherRocket through my link. So if you do want to pick it up, if you've been thinking about picking up, if you do want to check it out, click on that link, and I certainly do appreciate it. But so we do have individual products here. So close at heart. So what we would do is copy this ASIN or find it through PublisherRocket. We'd do search the ASIN, and we would add this book. And it would go over here. Let's just add target. I'm not going to get into pricing right now. And then boom, I will now be able to, my book will now be advertised in this carousel at some point in the carousel. We don't know if it will be page 1 or page 35. Again, that all depends on what I'm bidding and how relevant is my book. Okay, you can also look at suggested, and you can enter your own list again from PublisherRocket. So there's this other tab up here. So categories. What's cool about categories, and well, let me just explain what categories are. This is going to, so if I select this one here, books, romance, contemporary romance, my book will be advertised on every product within that category. Okay, so let's use this example again, close at heart. We go down here, let's find some categories. So here's a category here, fantasy romance. Okay, and if we scroll down, how many books are in fantasy romance? Probably, I don't know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands that would be in fantasy romance. We can put our book on every single product in that category if we target the category. You might be saying, okay, Denis, well, isn't that dangerous? Couldn't you get like a lot? Wouldn't that like really use up my ad spend? And yes, it really does have the potential. Oh, and we can see right here, products, 71,000 to 119,000. So I wasn't far off with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. So our book could potentially be advertised on up to that many products, which is crazy. So it would be advertised on potentially on this book, on this in this area right here, and on this book in this area right here as well, in this carousel. Okay, one thing I do want to point out here is that you see some text here that's italicized. This is that custom text again. Okay, so that's where it shows up. One other thing with custom text is only available on Amazon.com. So if you're advertising on .ca or .uk or .au, you do not have the ability to put the custom text in. Okay, just make note of that. So I can add this category here along with these individual products. Okay. Another cool thing that you can do with categories is you see add and we see refine next to it. So let's click that and see what options we get here. So we can refine this to be advertised on products that meet this criteria. Okay, so price range. Let's say we have a self-published book. Okay, and we only want to advertise on other self-published books, for an example. So what's a big difference between self-published books and traditionally published books? The one big thing that you see the difference is, not all the time, but is price. Okay, traditionally published books, you see the Kindle price at $9.99, $14.99, or sometimes higher. Let's say we only want to advertise our book because we're a self-published book. We only want to advertise on other self-published books, which is part of an overall strategy that I'm not going to get too much into. But we also don't want to be advertising our paid book. Let's say our book is $3.99 on books that are free, because we don't want just freebie seekers, let's say, because we're selling our book at a full price. So we can put only advertise to books in contemporary romance that meet this criteria. Okay, let's pick a price range between $198 and let's say $7.98 that have 3 to 5 star reviews. Okay, so our products targeted, I forget what it was before, but now our products targeted, let me zoom in a little bit here, see if that can make it easier. Now our product targeted is down to between 15,000 and 25,000. Okay, now if I get rid of this again, 55,000 to 93,000. Okay, so that's a cool little trick that you can do to close it up a little bit, to narrow in your focus. And of course, if you want to narrow it in even more, you can select individual products. Okay, so that is category targeting. Okay, what is automatic targeting? Automatic targeting is Amazon taking what they know about your book. And let me just put myself in full view. It's Amazon taking what they know about your book. So whether that is information based on past purchases, based on your title, subtitle, your description, the book itself, because there is some whispers of them actually reading your book as well and getting an idea of what your book is about. But automatic targeting is the easiest way, is the easiest ad to create. Okay, it's super, super easy. You don't have to worry about any targeting. It's the most hands-off, where you say, okay, Amazon, you do the targeting for me. So what Amazon is going to do, they are going to target keywords and target products on your behalf. How right are they? Or how accurate are they? The more information they know about your book, the more accurate they are. So if your book has a history of sales, then they already know, based on those consumer behaviors of people who purchased your book, that, okay, people who have purchased your book also like, or generally seem to, based on the past, they like fantasy, fiction, romance. So we're going to show it to those type of people. Again, based on Amazon's algorithm. Whenever we're talking about Amazon's algorithm, we're talking about leprechauns and fairy tales and unicorns. We're just taking guesses of what they're doing in the back end. But the more history that we have with the book, good history. So if you get your family and friends, and I always use the example that my mom buys crocheting supplies on Amazon. So if I was to go, hey, Mom, buy my book. I really want to get my sales up, so you buy my book, please. She'd say, oh, yeah, of course, honey, I'll do that. But she doesn't buy fantasy, fiction, romance. So Amazon is going to now think, okay, people who like crocheting supplies seem to like this book. So we're now going to show it now to people who also like crocheting supplies. So that is one of the dangers of getting, family and friends who don't read in the genre to buy your book as well. So Amazon, so now if you go and run an automatic targeting campaign, Amazon's going to be all confused. Okay, they're not going to have really good data on your book. Okay, so in that case, I would start with the keyword campaign. But which one do I do with my coaching clients? I do all three, because it really depends on the book. We test all three. We test automatic targeting, we test keyword, and we test product. And if we're feeling really spicy, we test the category ads as well, temporarily, to get some data and see what's working and what's not working. So there you have it. That is Amazon ads targeting, the three different types of targeting, two different types of targeting, the automatic targeting and the manual targeting, which is broken down into two itself, the keyword targeting and the product/category targeting. And that's where they show up. If you found this helpful, do like it, do subscribe, do share it with some other authors that you would feel would get some use out of this as well. Again, I do offer individual and small group coaching. If you'd like to learn more about that, the link is down below, as well as PublisherRocket. It is a really easy and fast way to find your keywords and to find your ASINs to be able to do keyword and product targeting. Appreciate you watching to the end. I'll see you in the next one.